It's time for Saint Lucia Magazine, your monthly wrap-up.
Hello and welcome to Saint Lucia Magazine, our monthly segment reviewing developments in government across various sectors of healthcare, education, the economy, infrastructure, and agriculture. I'm your host, Nivalo Geist. In this recap of November, we look at what the government has done to bring about positive change and progress for the citizens. Our dedicated team at the GIS and the various communications units of the public service have produced numerous reports detailing the many governmental initiatives and projects to share with you. St. Lucia's National Anti-Money Laundering Oversight Committee took an important step in strengthening national security with a specialized anti-terrorism training and sensitization exercise. This training underscores St. Lucia's commitment to aligning with international standards as the country continues to enhance its anti-terrorism financing framework. More in this report from Glenn Simon.
The National Anti-Money Laundering Oversight Committee, NAMLOC, recently conducted a crucial anti-terrorism training and sensitization session aimed at deepening members' understanding of the United Nations Security Council resolutions and the Financial Action Task Force's recommendation number 6. This recommendation mandates the identification and freezing of assets associated with terrorism and its financing. Juliana Alfred, Permanent Secretary in the Attorney General's Chambers and Chair of NAMLOC, emphasized that this training is a critical step as St. Lucia prepares for its 5th round mutual evaluation. She added that recommendation number 6 is one of 7 areas for which St. Lucia has requested re-rating, underscoring the government's commitment to strengthening its compliance and effectiveness in counter-terrorism financing.
We are going to be attending plenary, and at that plenary, St. Lucia applied for 7 recommendations for re-rating. And I'm happy to report that all 7 recommendations have been re-rated positively. So St. Lucia is going into this meeting having improved our re-rating standing just as last year.
The recent review saw St. Lucia achieve upgraded ratings across all targeted recommendations, moving from non-compliant to partially compliant for recommendation number 6 and 7 on sanctions related to terrorism and proliferation. Recommendation 26, which covers the regulation of financial institutions, also advanced from non-compliant to largely compliant. Further progress was made with recommendations 15, 28, 33, and 38, all moving from partially compliant to largely compliant ratings.
Meanwhile, in another development related to finance, St. Lucia's cooperative sector will see the implementation of the new Cooperative Societies Act in 2025. The legislation is aimed at strengthening supervision and resilience within credit unions, will introduce updated regulations to protect members' funds and aligned with international standards. Glenn Simon tells us more.
Following the recent passage of St. Lucia's Cooperative Societies Act, number 16 of 2024, the new COP Act, a proposed commencement date of January 1st, 2025 has been set to coincide with the financial year of cooperatives. To support the effective implementation of the new act, draft regulations have been introduced for final consultation with sector representatives. Sanchez Gervais Victor, manager of the international sector and non-banked financial institutions at the Financial Services Regulatory Authority, FSRA, emphasized that the cooperative sector requires a stronger regulatory framework to keep pace with the evolving financial landscape.
The Cooperative Societies Act is a harmonized approach to strengthen supervision and resilience within credit unions. Today, we continue the journey towards a more resilient cooperative sector. The new act, and by extension, the draft regulations we are here to discuss today, seek to address the perceived vulnerabilities and governance challenges that have become more prominent over time. This updated framework introduces provisions that goes beyond the protection offered in the 1999 Act.
Executive Director of the FSRA, Natalie D'Souza, highlighted that the new act offers enhanced protection for members' funds, modernizes the sector to align with international standards, strengthens risk management and overall stability, and enhances regulatory oversight by expanding the powers of the Registrar of Credit Unions.
With regard to the regulations, there are key aspects that comes out. One, corporate governance has been increased, where you will see, for example, the role of the president being outlined, which strengthen again corporate governance. And we know that credit unions are managed through a board of directors, and the president has a critical role.
The Act also strengthens the roles of other board members with supervisory and credit functions. It outlines the underwriting, provisioning, and approval of loans and how delinquent loans are to be treated. The consultation brought together representatives from the 16 registered credit unions and the Credit Union League to craft a regulatory environment that supports growth and integrity of the financial system.
The National Competitiveness and Productivity Council, NCPC, is spearheading efforts to leverage the nexus between productivity, competitiveness, and AI to transform the delivery of public sector services to customers. The objectives are to streamline processes, optimize resource allocation, and enable data-driven decision-making. A key initiative in the process is the implementation of Inflow Cloud Suite, an advanced AI-powered solution designed to manage human resources, finance, and budgeting functions across the government service. Once again, Glenn Simon reports.
The National Competitiveness and Productivity Council, NCPC, continues to champion the integration of AI-driven solutions within the public sector to enhance productivity. By automating processes, unlocking valuable insights, and streamlining tasks, these technologies enable the public sector to achieve more, better, faster, and with greater precision. Building on the momentum of its successful Productivity Awareness Week 2024, held under the theme, The AI Effect, Using Innovation to Reshape Productivity and Enhance Competitiveness, the NCPC is advancing its efforts to promote transformative innovation. One notable initiative is Info Cloud Suite, an AI-powered platform introduced by the Government of Saint Lucia through the Department of Finance. This cutting-edge system is said to revolutionize the management of human resources, budgeting, and finance functions across government operations. Shetal Otley, Director of Human Resource Management at the Department of the Public Service, said the new Human Capital Management module will revolutionize the delivery of HR services in the public sector.
We've done some preliminary analysis and we recognize that this system is actually going to allow us to automate about 50 or so of our HR processes at the Department of the Public Service. So that means we will be able to get us a few of our functions done at a faster in quick time, and of course that would permit the HROs now to get involved in more the softer side of the human resource management function.
Public officers in HR, budget and finance are receiving ongoing training in the 3 core modules of Info Cloud Suite. Budget Director Fiona Hinkson highlighted the anticipated productivity gains from this new system.
So for us within the budget office, we are looking forward to the rollout of this system, as it will enable the budget analysts basically to do more quality analysis, and so that we are moving, as we move away from paper-based, we'll be able to build efficiencies in the system. We'll be able to work with the accountants to ensure that the expenditure is well recorded, our budget is done, in a timely manner, and of course, we also have our deadline that we have to meet, sending the budget across to Parliament for approval.
Deputy Budget Director Smiven Donnelly emphasized the platform's interoperability, noting its ability to improve government's data integrity while streamlining key processes. He also highlighted that Saint Lucia is one of the first countries in the region to implement such a system.
Importantly, for the beginning, the budgeting process, of course, must provide the funds for the free-to-marry. So the Questica budgeting system would, of course, look to, in terms of the script, would be able to look towards the HCM to verify that this is indeed an employee of government who has been promoted, so the funds need to be made for that promotion. An employee in one department has been moved to another department, the HCM would, of course, manage that. So you would have the true source of each of the functions working together, which we call the interoperability of the system, working together to ensure that the information is correct, the correct budgeting has been made, the correct reports fed from the true source, and of course, all will be working in tandem.
The Department of Finance is committed to making productivity gains through the integration of AI-powered solutions and strategies, as well as upskilling public officers to stay abreast with technological advancements. For the National Competitiveness and Productivity Council, Glenn Simon reporting.
The National Ozone Unit is set to phase out the use of another tier of ozone-depleting substances from use in St. Lucia. Through the refrigeration and air conditioning sector, the National Ozone Unit intends to further the agenda to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Jesse Leos has the details in this report.
It turns out that a group of gases that were being relied on to replace ozone-depleting substances in the refrigeration and air conditioning sector is contributing to global warming. Hydrofluorocarbons, or HFCs, are harmless to the ozone layer, but are thousands of times more potent than carbon dioxide. So while alleviating one environmental issue, it is worsening another. National Ozone Officer Keisha Hitmeyer says her unit is engaging the refrigeration and air conditioning sector to hasten St. Lucia's transition to natural alternatives altogether. Their latest effort is called the Kigali Implementation Plan, or KIP.
The Kigali Implementation Plan outlines the country's strategy to achieve a 10% reduction in HFC consumption by 2030. And in this plan, we outline several interventions, such as training for technicians to strengthen their capabilities to safely use alternative refrigerants, because as we know, some of the replacements for HFCs that are going to be phased down also have some health and safety issues. For example, they are more flammable, and so there are certain measures that technicians need to be aware of in handling those refrigerants. Other activities include strengthening our training institutions. For example, we have two in St. Lucia, the Safa Lewis Community College and the Center for Adolescent Renewal and Education. So in order to review their curriculum and to provide the necessary tools and equipment that the students would need in order to handle refrigerants and technologies safely.
Customs officers will also receive additional training from the National Ozone Unit on a licensing and quota system for HFCs. St. Lucia's KIP was launched in a ceremony on World Ozone Day, September 16. The KIP will run concurrently with the Ozone Unit's Hydrochlorofluorocarbon Phase-Out Management Plan, or HPMP.
Continuing with the focus on improved environmental outcomes, St. Lucia is currently undertaking consultations to develop more ambitious climate action commitments for the next 5 years. As part of this process, the National Climate Change Committee met to review past achievements and propose future goals for climate action. More in this report from Jesse Leos.
The National Climate Change Committee has reconvened as part of the process to review the country's updated Nationally Determined Contribution, NDC 3.0. And NDC is a country's climate pledge under the Paris Agreement to reduce carbon emissions and adapt to climate change impacts. Chaired by the Department of Sustainable Development, this committee comprises stakeholders from the 10 climate change priority sectors, including private sector, civil society, and youth, weighing in on what the new pledges should look like. Onika Ben is the NDC in-country facilitator.
So stakeholders are meeting today to actually give feedback on some of the opportunities for future ambition, to identify some of the barriers that would prevent us from achieving these ambitions, and then just to understand what has worked well and where we might have future scope to enhance the NDC of St. Lucia.
This revision process is being assisted through the Supporting the Implementation of NDCs in the Caribbean, Transforming the Transport and Energy Sectors Towards a Low Carbon and Climate Resilient Future NDC Tech project. Chief Sustainable Development and Environment Officer Don Pierre Nathaniel says the project is furnishing St. Lucia with technical support from an institute that strengthens the national planning of vulnerable countries in international climate negotiations.
So the presentations today, we're working with a team called Climate Analytics, a scientific team working with our local stakeholders in the Department of Sustainable Development and seeing where we are in terms of our targets, what we've done so far to be able to help to reduce our emissions, and what can we do in the future to continue to aim towards our target, even while we try to have a more ambitious NDC going forward.
NDCs are revised and communicated to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC, every 5 years. In its most recent NDC, St. Lucia committed to reducing emissions from energy and transport sectors by 7%, below 2010 emissions by 2030. Anita Mantut, Permanent Secretary in the Department of Sustainable Development, says, quote, "If we were to grade ourselves on the achievement of this target, our report booklet would show continuous, ambitious action to achieve these commitments, with over 67 climate-specific projects currently being monitored and supported across the 10 climate priority sectors," end quote.
The Ministry of Equity, Social Justice and Empowerment, in partnership with the St. Lucia Social Development Fund, SSDF, recently conducted an orientation event with the Government of Saint Lucia program aimed at empowering and uplifting some of the island's most vulnerable families. The activity brought together participants from across St. Lucia to explore the program's vision, objectives, and opportunities for involvement. John Emmanuel tells us more.
The Ministry of Equity, Social Justice and Empowerment, in partnership with the St. Lucia Social Development Fund, the SSDF, recently conducted an orientation event via the Government of Saint Lucia program aimed at empowering and uplifting some of the island's most vulnerable families. Held at the National Skills Development Center, the activity brought together participants from across St. Lucia to explore the program's vision, objectives, and opportunities for involvement. Participants received an in-depth overview of the program's core mission, which focused on tackling the socio-economic challenges vulnerable households face. Program Coordinator Keisha St. Catherine explained the initiative aimed to equip these families with the tools to promote self-sufficiency, create sustainable livelihoods, and strengthen community ties.
The Government of Saint Lucia program is a program that has been established by the St. Lucia Social Development Fund. We are hoping that it's a flagship program. One of two main objectives of the Government of Saint Lucia program is, one, to improve the socio-economic living conditions of indigent, poor and vulnerable households. Another objective is to reduce poverty by building sustainable livelihoods, coping strategies, the quality of human relationships and interactions.
Beneficiaries of the Government of Saint Lucia program were chosen from the Public Assistance Program PAP with a focus on several key objectives such as poverty alleviation and capacity building. St. Catherine noted that the orientation marked the first step in what is expected to be a transformative journey for participants and subsequently communities.
The interventions that we're going to assist you with are going to help you have a more sustainable life, so you wouldn't be dependent on the public assistance program or any social service assistance program for that matter. So the interventions that we are going to help you with are personal identification, health assistance or support, educational assistance, housing assistance, employment assistance, income assistance, and family dynamics.
The Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs is advancing national efforts to combat emerging drug threats with the launch of the Early Warning System, EWS. The EWS is a multi-agency network to enhance monitoring capabilities for identifying new and evolving drug trends and provide rapid response measures that aim to safeguard public health and safety in St. Lucia.
The Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs has advanced efforts to combat emerging threats with the launch of the Early Warning System. The multi-agency network enhances monitoring capabilities for identifying new and evolving drug trends in St. Lucia and providing rapid response measures that aim to safeguard public health and safety. The Early Warning Systems, developed in collaboration with key stakeholders and support from the Inter-American Drug Abuse Control Commission, ensures a coordinated approach for detecting and responding to drug threats, with involvement from clinical practitioners, forensic experts, national security, border agencies, and community organizations. The system is positioned to quickly assess risk associated with new psychoactive substances and other hazardous drugs. Ambassador Adam Num, Executive Secretary in the Inter-American Drug Abuse Control Commission, highlighted the regional urgency in addressing these threats, sharing insights from neighboring Caribbean nations.
The drug problem in our region in the Americas continues to evolve and is today defined both by the prevalence of use, but also by the increasingly complex range of drugs. So it's quantity and quality. Just last year, we received news about the first clandestine drug laboratory ever discovered in Trinidad and Tobago, where methamphetamine was being produced. And the Barbados early warning system issued 2 warnings on the discovery of methamphetamine and synthetic cannabinoids in that country's drug market. We're also aware of the situation last year where more than 60 primary school students received emergency medical care after consuming THC-laced candy sold by a vendor outside of a primary school in Jamaica. These are examples that are remarkably close to home for St. Lucia and are proof that no country is immune to the dangers posed by emerging drugs.
As a national resource, the Early Warning System enables proactive response mechanisms and equips agencies with real-time data for improving readiness. Ditney Downs, Chief Fire Officer, underscores the system's role in enhancing the fire department's service delivery.
From the information which will be gathered and shared by the various actions in the system, our agency will be better informed and more alert in the dispensing of our services. Most importantly, the opportunity for interagency communications of alerts and warnings will aid in stemming the potential risks of the changing landscape of the drug problem.
Additionally, the Early Warning Systems position St. Lucia to tackle the economic and developmental challenges posed by substance abuse. Jenny Daniel, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs, emphasized the importance of preventative measures to sustain the nation's health infrastructure.
The economic and developmental vulnerabilities of islands such as St. Lucia do not permit the adequate cushioning of the potential impacts of chronic substance abuse. The developing health structure and infrastructure and systems may not adequately accommodate additional pressures caused by the health crises and emergencies resulting from the abuse of substances by individuals. It is essential that the requisite preventative measures are taken to avoid the influx of potent substances as opposed to the accommodation of the higher costs of combating those potential impacts.
Through the Early Warning Systems, St. Lucia demonstrates its commitment to an informed and proactive stance against the threat of emerging drugs. The system will continue to empower key agencies to build public awareness, enhance safety protocols, and protect the well-being of all residents. From the Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs, Chevroy Marius.
9 years after a fire severely damaged the Larry Shoes Dennery Wellness Center, bringing to a halt healthcare services in the community, the Wellness Center is set to resume operations, restoring a vital healthcare resource to the community. The Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs provided an update on the much-anticipated reopening of the Larry Shoes Wellness Center, which is now nearing completion. Onika McCoy has the details.
The Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs is preparing to unveil an upgraded Larry Shoes Wellness Center that promises improved quality healthcare for the community. Monty Emmanuel, an engineer with the ministry, provided an update on the project, offering insights into the extensive renovations and expanded services that will soon be available to residents. According to Emmanuel, the restoration of the Larry Shoes Wellness Center following the fire in 2015 has been a top priority for the ministry, not only to restore healthcare services but to enhance them significantly. The upgraded facility will include advanced medical equipment and additional resources to support a broader range of health services.
The building was basically gutted. The roof got a lot of damage. A lot of the facility was badly burnt. Coming forward, we did not want to demolish the entire structure and put it to the ground. So basically we left some history in, and then we worked around what we had, we expanded it, and we made it better for the public.
Emmanuel explains that the facility is expected to be completed in the coming months. He noted that the contractor is focusing on final external works, including drainage improvements and fencing, to ensure a fully secure and accessible environment.
Raise Your Voice Saint Lucia has stepped forward to support the nation's healthcare sector. The organization donated 2,000 bed sheets to the Millennium Heights Medical Complex and St. Jude Hospital, a move aimed at enhancing patient care and comfort. Kyle Shalmine and Teresa Peters, members of Raise Your Voice Saint Lucia, a leading advocacy organization, have donated 2,000 bed sheets to two of the island's primary healthcare facilities, the Millennium Heights Medical Complex and the St. Jude Hospital. The donation, handed over in a formal ceremony recently to enhance patient care and comfort in the nation's hospitals. This contribution is particularly timely as healthcare facilities continue to recover from the strain of increased patient loads and ongoing resource challenges. Medical practitioner and representative of Raise Your Voice Saint Lucia, Janice Stanley-Ja, explains the importance of the donation.
Those 2,000 bed sheets, I hope, will improve the quality and the comfort of our patients who receive care at those institutions. 1,000 of those bed sheets will be donated to St. Jude Hospital and 1,000 to Millennium Heights Medical Complex. I am aware of the challenges that we healthcare professionals encounter in delivering that quality care to patients. And usually we are sidetracked to find bed sheets and other conveniences for our patients. So with this donation, it is our hope that healthcare professionals will dedicate the time to providing the quality of care that is required without having to focus on other non-clinical aspects of the delivery of health care.
Retired nurse Lilia Harrison will have her dedication to nursing memorialized with the renaming of the Deriso Wellness Center to the Lilia Harrison Wellness Center. The Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs hosted the renaming ceremony to a community of well-wishers in tribute to her work and the impact of her service to her community.
In support of the vision to honor the valuable contribution and service of retired nurse Lilia Harrison from the community of Deriso, the Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs recently hosted a ceremony to rename the health facility. The renaming of the Deriso Wellness Center underscored the dedication of the government to recognize the legacy of a health professional who has made a significant impact in the community and the health sector. The ceremony involved the unveiling of a plaque and updating of signage for the facility. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Jenny Daniel, celebrated the renaming of the health facility and said, This ceremony marks a significant achievement for the ministry and community.
But today we value and appreciate the skill, knowledge, and dedication of Nurse Harrison and her specific skills in midwifery and in childhood care as testimony to most of us being alive here today. And so, on behalf of the Ministry of Health, with great pleasure and with humility, I officially say thank you to Mrs. Lilia Harrison for her many years of dedicated service to healthcare in Saint Lucia.
Minister for Health, the Honorable Moses Jabatis, saluted the retired nurse Lilia Harrison for outstanding efforts and dedication of service to the community.
Ms. Harrison, you are a hero. You are a hero of community resilience. Nurse, you are a hero of the community, a hero for mobilization, a hero in the community of Deriso, a St. Lucian hero. We celebrate your contributions and sacrifice. We understand that your commitment, was really from the heart. And we understand that you poured out your soul for the betterment of your people.
Praising and celebrating Lilia Harrison as a lady of commitment to the health profession was Prime Minister of Saint Lucia, the Honorable Philip J. Pierre.
Nurse Harrison is an example of selflessness. People who work for people. People who work to improve the quality of life of the people. And Nurse Harrison, when she did it, I'm sure her conditions were not perfect. I'm sure she did not work in the best conditions. I'm very sure that she did not get enough remuneration, enough salary for the work she did.
Nurse Lilia Harrison, who served as community health nurse and family nurse practitioner in the community of Deriso for over 30 years, was present at the ceremony to officially unveil the plaque with the new name of the health facility.
Turning our attention to education, a special educational needs and disability policy is set to expand the national education sector's ability to meet the needs of this underserved demographic. The Ministry of Education says the new policy is a long-sought goal for inclusivity and progress. Kibatalium reports.
With the development of a national special education policy, Saint Lucia is taking meaningful strides toward an education system that celebrates diversity and inclusivity while empowering every child to achieve their full potential. For the first time, special education needs and disabilities will be addressed by a policy document expected to standardize how the sector is addressed. Saint Lucia's Special Educational Needs and Disability Policy will guide the administration of resources, management, processes, and procedures to ensure that all children have equal access to education and the opportunity to achieve success. Speaking at the first in a series of implementer workshops, Education Officer Dale Saint-Gist affirmed that design and broad stakeholder consultation has been completed, along with the submission of a final report by consultants.
It is designed in such a way that it caters to all children, so that whatever the range of special needs or disability that a person may have, it makes adequate provisions for them. One of the beautiful things about the way the policy was designed is that it gives consideration to other stakeholders beyond personnel in education who can support the overall success of students. Because you may have a child who has no academic difficulty, but may have difficulty with other resources and may have welfare needs, may have psychological needs, may have medical needs, all of these that can potentially threaten the academic success of the child. So we're looking to establish a policy that will provide overall support for children who may have any challenge that threaten their success in school.
The workshop series has been utilized to ensure stakeholders have a clear understanding of all facets of the special educational needs and disability policy and their respective roles in its implementation. According to consultant Dr. Dion Edwards-Kerr, the development of the national policy is a source of pride as it directly reflects the adjustments needed locally. Widespread consultation across the education sector, she says, sought to identify interventions which remedy any gaps in support for students island-wide. Ensuring all young St. Lucians are reached, Dr. Edwards-Kerr says, was another key consideration.
We were able to undertake a series of consultations across the school districts and across the Ministry of Education and all its stakeholders to get the view of persons who live the experience and persons who deliver services to children with special education needs. And so, to a large extent, we believe the policy reflects what St. Lucia actually needs in terms of remedying the issues related to children in our schools that need special education, need services. And so the idea is, regardless of where the children are, the right to an education must be fulfilled.
Policy development was achieved through the Education Quality Improvement Project, EQUIP, with the Caribbean Development Bank providing funding for the consultancy responsible for its design and guiding implementation. While access to education is available to students across all levels, from early childhood to secondary school, St. Lucia's Special Educational Needs and Disability Policy aims to refine and expand services, ensuring all children receive support and resources tailored to their needs. From the Communications Unit of the Department of Education, Innovation and Vocational Training, I am Kiba Talium.
198 home care workers were celebrated for their hard work and dedication at a graduation ceremony in November after having successfully attained the Caribbean Vocational Qualification (CVQ) in the field of home care giving. Kendall Eugene tells us more.
The culmination of hard work and dedication was celebrated at a gala ceremony on Tuesday, November 12, 2024, when a total of 198 graduates successfully attained their Caribbean Vocational Qualification (CVQ) in the field of home care giving. The graduates marked a significant milestone in their growth and development in the field of caregiving. Minister for Equity, Social Justice and Empowerment, Honorable Joachim Henry, emphasized the role senior citizens played in our society. He commended the graduates for their dedication to ensuring that the island's elderly population will be well cared for.
I am more honored to join in the echo of this accomplishment for the preparatory work done for the benefit of our older persons in St. Lucia. We recognize the contribution of older persons and the way they have shaped our land. For this reason, we express our gratitude to them by engaging in meaningful training, which prepares to offer optimal support through help companionship. My fellow citizens and graduates, it would be remiss of me not to acknowledge the commitment that you have agreed to absorb in this huge task. Needless to say, this responsibility goes beyond a mere meaning of earning a small income. This task speaks to your values, empathy, respect, and gratitude towards our older persons. For this reason, I thank you immensely.
The newly certified caregivers were praised for their perseverance throughout the demanding courses and assessments.
55 educators have successfully completed their certification in Competency-Based Education and Training, CBET, hosted by the St. Lucia Council for Technical Vocational Education and Training, SLC-TVET. More in this report from Marvin St. Louis.
After weeks of intense training and assessment, 55 educators in St. Lucia have successfully completed the certification in Competency-Based Education and Training, CBET. As these newly certified educators return to their classrooms, they bring with them enhanced capabilities to deliver high-quality, competency-based education.
I appreciated the hands-on activities
and the real-life scenarios that were incorporated in the curriculum, which made the learning process engaging and effective.
I believe incorporating CBET will benefit my teaching by allowing me to create more targeted, outcome-driven lessons, ensuring that my students develop competencies essential to their success.
This milestone marks a pivotal moment for the island's education sector. Minister for Education Honorable Sean Edward states the importance of producing individuals with skills who can contribute to the advancement of the country.
In Saint Lucia, we have recognized that the quality of our human resource base, more than anything else, will determine whether Saint Lucia remains competitive or whether we perish in a very unforgiving and globally competitive environment. So that when we establish 4 TVET institutes in Saint Lucia or schools, we are not doing it because it is something fashionable in the world of education, but because we've understood, based on the market surveys that have been carried out, that there are certain deficiencies we have in our system that we need to correct, and we need to correct very, very quickly. So that a child who graduates from one of our TVET institutes should be ready for immersion into the world of work.
And finally, Port Soufrière is being touted as one of the best experiences in Saint Lucia's tourism offerings. That was the sentiment expressed when Soufrière welcomed 2 vessels making inaugural calls for the 2024 cruise season. A plaque exchange ceremony marked the visits to the southern town. We have more in this report from Genevieve Gonzague.
On Saturday, the Soufrière Regional Development Foundation, SRDF, was pleased to welcome Ilma and Villa Viodacy for their inaugural calls to Port Soufrière. Ilma's inaugural call was commemorated with a traditional plaque exchange ceremony aboard the vessel. Captain Magnus Bengtsson of the Ilma expressed his admiration for Soufrière's charm and his excitement to be in this part of the world.
It is my pleasure, and on behalf of Ritz-Carlton Yacht Collection, to be here in St. Lucia today, and I thank you all for giving us such a pleasant and calm weather for our first call here.
The Corporate Communications and Marketing Manager at the SRDF, Mrs. Lovely St. Amy Joseph, says the SRDF will continue to collaborate with tourism stakeholders to ensure that Soufrière remains a port of choice.
So on behalf of the Soufrière Regional Development Foundation, I would like to welcome you to Soufrière.
Thank you.
We are the jewel in St. Lucia's crown. It's a town of breathtaking beauty, culture, history. Our people are very warm and inviting, so we have no doubt that you will certainly enjoy the experience in Port Soufrière.
The Member of Parliament for Soufrière-Foncé-Jacques, Honorable Emma Hippolyte, underscored the significance of these visits for Soufrière's ongoing development as a leading tourism destination.
I'm excited, and even when I walked in, the taxi drivers are saying bagay bon. So it is saying that they are happy, we are happy. It is extremely important for us to welcome new vessels into the port, and the information we've had is about 60, we expect about 60 boats in the Soufrière Harbour. Very excited. I believe that every area will benefit.
These inaugural calls highlight Soufrière's growing reputation as a premier cruise destination.
And that concludes this month's edition of St. Lucia Magazine. A heartfelt thank you to all who played a vital role in the making of this program, including the dedicated GIS team and the communication units across the various ministries. To you, our viewers, we appreciate your presence and engagement. Be sure to join us again next month for St. Lucia's Year in Review on NTN Channel 122 and all the Government of St. Lucia's social media platforms. I am Neva Logist, and until next time, stay tuned and stay informed.